Hi, I want to tell you one more story for story time. And this is about reincarnation or the world beyond or the world we live in. We just can't see energetically because the vibration is a different vibration. So this story is about Alice, and Alice was very dear to me. She was somebody that was just kind and thoughtful and never judged me. And I could just talk to her ever since I was a little child and explain what was going on for me because I seemed in my world to be different from everyone else. I was really in tune to energy and nature and feeling everybody's feelings and highly sensitive and intuitive. And I didn't think most people got me at all. Well, they didn't actually. So, but Alice did. And she just held the space, even if she didn't get me. She held the space so beautiful for me to be who I am. And we were really close, but I didn't see her a lot. Just growing up, there was different times I saw her more times than not. I moved to Hawaii in my late 20s, and she called me out of the blue. Now, she was never the one to call me. She was a little more private and quiet, and she waited for me to come into town because she didn't want to, disturb me or whatever she believed, that I was doing in my life, that she didn't want to be a burden in any way. She was just this really sweet person. But she called me and said, I just wondered when you're coming to the Bay Area again. And I said, well, that's funny that you said that because I just got my tickets and I actually am going to see my friend Cheryl in Arizona, but I routed it through San Francisco. And I do have a layover for a day. I would love to come see you. And she said, that would be great. Well, of course, my curiosity was why did Alice call me? And she had never called me before. I was the one that said, hey, I'm stopping by, or just stopping by. And she was always really grateful for that. So anyway, she just said, before we hung up, she said, there's just something I want to talk to you about. You have a different view on spirituality, on the church, on religious, on life and death. And I just want to get some feedback from you. And I thought, well, that's interesting. She never asked those questions. I never even brought that up because I don't try to put my stuff on other people. So I went to see her. And we had a really fascinating discussion, and one that we'd never had before, a depth and a wanting to her to, just this willingness to know outside of the box of the Catholic Church. And I said, did my grandmother always kind of put you into that box? Like, did you feel because you rented an apartment in her building for, 30 years that you had to do what she believed? And she says, well, your grandmother was a really strong woman, and I just didn't question, but you said things through your life to me that I began to question, and it always sounded right. And she asked me about death and what I felt about it. And I said, well, honestly, it's kind of like I'm going to the airport and I park my car and I'm getting on the plane because I've outgrown that vehicle. And then I'm going to a new place and I'm getting a new vehicle. And I said, that's kind of what it is for me. It's like we can't just disappear off the planet when we're ready to evolve into a higher aspect of ourselves, or we've completed what we came to do. I said, we can't just disappear because then it's like people be searching for us. There has to be this kind of final, okay, they've left this planet. So we talked in great length. And she was perfectly okay. I mean, health-wise, I said, hey, how you doing? She goes, God, I've never felt better, and thank you for this. And she was really grateful. And she had these sapphire blue eyes that were really now cataract and things like that. But I still remembered her eyes, how they originally were. And I went on my merry way off to Arizona. And the very last night of the week that I had been spending with my friend Cheryl, we were going to go discothequing and, just out and just have fun. And I had brought a black silk jacket that I probably hadn't worn for years in Hawaii because it was just too hot. But it was this kind of wrap around, it tied, had two big pockets in it. And before I had left, I've been going through my drawers and just saying, what do I need? What do I don't need? And I found this blue sapphire rosary that happened to be one Alice had given me when I was about 9 years old. And I always treasured it, but I never really said the rosary. I did meditation, things like that. So I had tucked it away. Somehow it got in that top drawer. And I picked it up and put it in this pocket, not even thinking. It wasn't even a deliberate thought. And I hung the jacket back up in the closet with the things that were going to go to Arizona, because I thought, okay, that'll work. It gets cooler at night. So that would be a great jacket to bring. It's lightweight. I can roll it up and it'll fall out and it'll just take the nip out of the air. So here I am in Florida, and I have this black jacket on. We're about to go out, and there's a phone call. And I'm just like, hello? And on the other line, a woman says to me, "Are you Annie?" And that's what I was called by people dear to me. I said, "Yes." And she said, "I'm standing next to Alice's bed. She just left. She just died." And I went, oh my God, I didn't even know anything was wrong. I guess she had a blood clot in her ankle or something, and something like that. And immediately went to her heart. That's not what's important. And I was just stunned. And I said, what? And she said, "I need to tell you what she said to me." She said, oh, let me back up 1 second. She died. They actually said she had died. The whole thing went flatlined. She said, then suddenly, minutes later, she sat up, looked at me straight in the eye with crystal sapphire blue eyes. And she said, with a huge smile, "Tell Annie she's right." And she put her head down and was gone. But she was left with this big smile on her face. And the woman said, "What did she mean?" And I was just like, oh my God, I went from tears to crying tears of joy, oh my God, it's just still, I think of it now, and it's just so powerful because she got that message to me. She goes, "Tell Annie she's right." Now, this was really interesting. As I was talking to the woman, I put my hand in the pocket of the jacket, the silk jacket, and pulled out this beautiful sapphire blue rosary from Alice. And so what I'm saying is, there's so many events like this that have happened in my life with people. It's all preordained. We already know these things are going to happen. We're part of their design. Some part of me knew she was leaving. And that rosary appeared out of nowhere after all those years. And I picked it up and put it in my pocket. Why? And the whys don't matter. It's like reaching into our true self and remembering who we are is the most amazing part. And getting rid of all the stuff society puts on us, like who do we think we are? What are we tapping into? Or what do we know? To heck with all that stuff. Go into your heart because you know the answers. We're all divine beings. We're all connected. Quantum physics has proven that. All of this has proven it, but we don't want to believe it. That's the only thing that blocks us from knowing the truth of who we are. So all I'm saying, beautiful souls you are, is I'm sending love, and I'm sending just blessings, okay? That's just the only thing I know how to send right now through YouTube. Okay, all right.